It was good, was good, was good. Shalom, shalom, right? It's good. You know, I know y'all see the title, Women and Truth is the two strongest, right? So we're gonna get into that, right? Because this is, one is for like, as far as dealing with our women, right? And a lot of our women don't understand that it's strength in their femininity, right? And a lot of our women don't understand how strong a feminine woman can be, and and because a lot of times our women, due to society and how things is and all that stuff, a lot of our women take on, a masculine spirit, sometimes not by the fault of their own. Sometimes they're, put in certain situations where they have to, be a little tougher than, usual. So, but yeah, we're going to get into it, because, the Bible has a lot of wisdom in it, and so we're going to deal with the different strengths of women, and we're going to, just go into a few examples, throughout the Bible that demonstrate those attributes, right? So of course, all praises to the Most High. And we do so in His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, right? Who the world ignorantly, mistakenly calls Jesus Christ. So we're gonna okay, y'all, 1 second. Just grab my coffee real quick. Yes, it's like. So yeah, right. So we back, right? So like I said, so we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of the thing, the wisdom part of it, right? So we're gonna start off with First Ezra chapter 3, right? Now this is in the Apocrypha, right? And of course, the regular King James Bible don't have the Apocrypha in it. Those are the books that the Protestants under Martin Luther took out, way back when. But we got it right here. So we're going to read it, First Ezra chapter 3, right? We're going to read the whole chapter just before we can get the context and understanding of what's going on, right? Boom, boom, boom. All right, hold on. So now this is dealing with our dear sister Esther, right? And well, no, my bad, not our dear sister Esther, but this is dealing with during the Persian captivity when the Israelites were in slavery under the Persians. So now this is during King Darius' reign, and we all know that's a historical figure, right? And so now this is during King Darius' reign, and so this is what's going on. So I'm just giving y'all the backdrop, So it says, now Darius reigned, and he made a great feast unto all his subjects, and unto all his household, and unto all the princes of Media and Persia, right? So it's the Persian and Mede captivity, right? And it says, and to all the governors and captains and lieutenants that were under him from India unto unto Ethiopia, because they had that whole area on lock, right? And it says, and 127 providence. And when they had eaten and drinking and began and being satisfied, were gone home. And Darius the king went into his bedchamber and slept, and soon after awake. Then 3 young men that were of the guard kept the king's body, spake to one another. So, got this little guards out there that watches, right? So then Secret Service, for lack of better terms, and it says, and it said they spake to one another, let every one of us speak a sentence that he shall overcome, and those sentence shall seem wiser than the other. Unto him shall the king Darius give great gifts and great things in token of victory. Right? So they're like, look, let's see who's the most wisest of all of us. We're going to have, King Darius judge, which ones is the wisest of all of us, right? We're going to say a phrase. Then whatever phrase is the most deepest, the most meaningful, then that person wins, right? So basically, right? So then it says, as to be clothed in purple, to drink in gold, and to sleep upon gold, and the chariots of the bridles of gold, and the head tire of fine linen, and the chain about his neck, right? So it's talking about how, the jewels that they're going to get, that they're, certain prizes that they're going to win, right? And it says, and he shall sit next to Darius because of his wisdom, and shall be called Darius' cousin, right? And it says, and every one wrote a sentence, sealed it, and laid it under King Darius' pillow, and said that when the king is arisen, some will give him the right. Some will give him the writings, and of whose side the king and the 3 princes of Persia shall judge that which sentence is the wisest. To him shall the victory be given as appointed. So now, they beginning their thing, right? So it says, the first wrote, wine is the strongest, right? Then it says, the second wrote, the king is the strongest. The third wrote, women are the strongest. But above all things, truth beareth away the victory, right? So, so these are the basically 3 phrases, right? So it says, now when the king was arisen, they took their writings and delivered them unto him. So he read them, right? Then it says, and sending forth, he called all the princes of Persia and Media, and the governors, and the captains, and the lieutenants, and the chiefs, and the officers, and set him down the royal seat of judgment, and the writings were read before them. And he said, call the young men, and they shall declare their own sentence. So it's like, all right, like we're gonna read it. Then whoever wrote whatever they wrote, explain why you wrote it, right? So they called and came, and he said unto them, declare unto us your mind concerning the writings. Then began the first who has spoken of the strength of wine, right? So now this is deep. So wine, of course, is dealing with wine, strong drink, all that stuff, right? With strong drink and stuff, right? Liquor, right? So it says, and he said, O ye men, how exceeding strong is wine! It causes all men to err that drink it, right? I mean, and we all know somebody, or it could be ourselves, that had a little bit too much to drink and we get into a little trouble, right? Maybe a fight, an argument, or whatever the case may be. So it says, and he said, thus, ye, O men, how exceedingly strong is wine! It causes all men to err that drink it. It maketh the mind of the king and the fatherless child to be all at one. So it's basically saying, no matter if you're rich or poor, when you get drunk, you drunk, right? So we all get drunk. That's basically what he said. Whether you're rich or poor or whatever, right? And it says, it maketh the mind of the king and the fatherless child to be one, of the bondman and the freeman, of the poor and the rich. So basically saying that liquor can overtake anybody, right? No matter who you are, right? That's what it's basically saying. So it says, it turneth also every thought into jolly and mirth, so that men remember neither sorrow nor death. Because a lot of people, they drink their problems away. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they going through stuff. They go out or whatever the case may be, and they drink, right? And for that moment, it makes them forget about what's going on in their lives, right? So that's what he's saying. Then it says, and it maketh every heart rich, so that that a man remember neither nor the king nor governor, and maketh to speak all things by talents. So it's basically saying, like, people, if you get drunk enough, you ain't gonna care who the person is. You know how they say a drunk person speak truth, right, or something like that. So that's basically what he's saying. Like, basically saying that, like, if somebody get liquored up, enough, and they start speaking their mind, they don't care who they talking to, whether it's a king, some type of government official, or whatever. They just gonna express themselves, right? Then it says, boom, boom. And it says, and when they are in their cups, they forget their love both to friends and brethren, and a little draw after, and a little after draw out swords. So you got those drunks that like to fight. You know what I'm saying? They get drunk and now they want to fight everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all cool, but as soon as you get some little liquor in you, now you want to be Popeye the Sailor Man, right? So this is talking about how the effects that liquor can do to anybody, whether you are a rich man, poor man, king, or a servant, right? So it says, and when they're in their cups, they forget their love both to friends and brethren. So meaning you might be rude to your fellow man, right? Your friends, right? Then it says, but when they are from the wine, they remember not what they have done. So now they're sober up, and you mean mugging them, you mad at them, they looking at you, why you looking at me like that? And you tell them, hey, last night you was tripping, and they don't remember what they did. So it's like kind of almost hard to be mad at them, but then you still be mad at them because you mad at them because you can't even be mad at them because they don't remember what they did. So, and that's crazy. So you got, so liquor can do that to people, right? People just do some crazy stuff and don't even remember what they did, right? So that's what he's saying. So, boom, boom, boom. Then it says, O ye men, is not wine the strongest that enforceth to do thus? And when he had spoken, he held his peace. So, he basically gave his spill on why he wrote that wine is the strongest, right? So now it says the second spoke. The second spoke, the strength of the king began to say, O ye men, do not men excel in strength and bear rule over sea, land, and all things in them, right? So he's talking about how, we're able to dominate the landscape, how we're able to, conquer and make war and do all this stuff, right? It says, but yet the king is more mighty, for he is the Lord of all things, and have dominion over them, and whatsoever he command them, they do. If he bid them to make war, the one against the other, they do it. If he send them out against the enemy, they go and break down mountains and walls and towers, right? So basically saying, like, the king is the most powerful thing. Because the king can, send you off to go do something, and you got to do it, right? The king can send his army somewhere, and the army got to go. Then it says, they slay and they slain, and transgress not the king's commandments. Meaning they do what the king tells them to do. When a order comes out, when the army, get their marching orders. They do what the king, president, or whatever you want to call them, tell them to do. And it says, if they get the victory, they bring all to the king, as well the spoil as things, as all things, as all things else. So basically saying, like, after they conquer a nation, then they end up, taking over their goods and all that stuff, their natural resources. It's now given to the king or to the government, right? And we know that to be true because just like with the Iraq thing and all that stuff, when America went to those different countries, they took over, with the Iraq stuff, with the oil stuff they got going on over there. In Afghanistan, they took over the poppy seed things, the stuff that they make heroin out of, and then now they got, now they able to, then they reverse engineered it and made something called what's that stuff called, fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? So they do what they want, right? So then it says, likewise for those that are no soldiers and have not to do with their wars, but as but as husbandry bound. Wait, read it right. Husbandry, when they have reap against which they have sown, they bring it to the king. So basically saying, like, even if you're not a soldier, you're not in the government, you paying taxes to the king, and compel one another to pay tribute to the king, and yet, but one man, if he command to kill, they kill. If he command to spare, they spare. So basically saying the king have power of people's life, right? And yet he is but one man. If he command to kill, they kill. If he command to spare, they spare. If he command to smite, they smite. If he command to make desolate, they make desolate. If he command to build, they build. So basically saying, the king, controls the people, right? Then it says, if he command to cut down, they cut down. If he command to plant, they plant. So all his people and his army obey him. Furthermore, he lieth down, he eat and he drink and he take his rest, and these keep watch around about. Meaning, he got his security to watch him while he's sleeping. Neither may anyone depart and to do his own business, neither disobey him in anything, right? So before, a person, like one of their securities gotta, want to handle some personal business, you gotta check in with the king and tell him, hey, I gotta do this, and he gotta get permission, right? Sort of like when you at work, you can't just take a day off. You're gonna have to say, hey, I gotta do this, and they have to give you permission to see your family or whatever the case may be, right? So then, so it's the same thing. So it says, "O ye men, boom, boom, boom." Let me see, boom, 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 boom. Said, "O ye men, how should not the king be mightiest when in such sort he is obeyed and he held his tongue, right?" So he was basically saying, like, yeah, the king, whatever the king says, people do. So he's the strongest. So that was his case that he was trying to make for the king being the strongest, right? So then it says, then the third who has spoken of women in truth was Zerubbabel began to speak, right? So sound like one of our brothers, right? Says begins to speak. Then it says, "O ye men, is not the great king nor the multitude of men, neither is wine." Right? So he's saying, look, everybody, I heard what everybody said. Dude said, like, the king is great. The other nigga said that wine is cool. But what he's saying, he says, "O ye men, is not not the great king, nor multitude of men, neither is it wine that exceedeth. Who is then that rule them, or have lordship over them? Are they not women? So then he goes on to say, women have borne kings and all the people that bear rule by sea and land. So he's like, okay, yeah, you make the argument that the king is strong, but it's women that birth these kings, right? That's what he's saying. So then he says, even them came they, and they nourished them that plant the vineyards, from hence the wine is coming. So like, even if you want to say, the dude that made the point about the wine, he's like, well, look, the women, the people that make these vineyards, that create this wine, the women nurtures them so they can grow up to do those things, right? That's what he's saying. So it says, these also make garments for men. These bring glory to men, and without women, man cannot be, right? So it's saying, like, women, they design our clothes. They, they bring glory to man. Meaning, it can be like, how a man, like, he got a good woman or whatever. He feel good about his woman, right? A man, when he talk about a woman that he likes, he sound different. He have a look on his face. He lights up, right? So the glory unto the men. Then it says, and without women cannot man be. So, of course, women, they carry the children, right? And so we're born through the women, even though, of course, it's our seed, and, that's a whole nother other thing. But to stay on topic, we born through the woman, right? So it says, if a man have gathered together gold and silver or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty? So it's like, man, like a good, beautiful, it's comparing a beautiful woman to like gold and silver, right? It says, if a man have gathered together gold and silver or any other godly thing, do they not love a woman? I'm going to read it right. Any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty, right? So, and the word comely means beautiful, right? Then it says, and letting all those things go, do they not grape and even open mouth to fix their eyes and fasten on her, and have not all men more desire unto her than silver or gold, right? So it's saying, like, a man, like, if, he might have all the silver and gold, right? But for that beautiful woman, for that woman that, that he loves, that he's after, he would give her everything he got, right? And it kind of, that verse right there kind of remind me of, what's that Percy Sledge song? When a man love a woman, right? That stuff. What it say? Like, when a man love a woman, he give up everything he, everything he own. Then what it say? Like, the man, he'll sleep out in the rain if she tell him to, right? That verse kind of remind me of that song. And that's how a lot of our men is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get that woman, we find that woman, it ain't nothing that a man would do to secure that woman, to keep her, to make her happy, And so it says, then it's like, sure, and then you got those, like you said, man, like, you got men that would go to work and come home and give her his whole check. He just take a few dollars out so he can go get him something to drink or whatever, right? So you got people like that. And it says, where I'm at, boom, 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 boom. And it says, and have not all men more desire unto her than silver or gold, or any goodly thing whatsoever. And it says, a man leaveth his own father that brought him up in his own country and cleave unto his wife. You know, so it's talking about when, you get you a woman, you move in, y'all married, right? And it says, he sticketh not to spend his life with his wife, and remember neither nor father, nor mother, nor country, right? So this talking about like how, a man might move all the way across the country to go be with this woman. Like if this woman, he meet a woman in California and he live in New York, he probably gonna move out there. Or, if they together, then she has a job and the job is calling her to go this, to move this way, to move there, he's gonna move with it, right? You have men that would do that, right? So he's saying like, you have what it says a man will leave his own father that brought him up in his own country, and like I said, and that can be double fold too. It's like, sometimes you get into, family, you get into a beef with your own family over your woman, right? That happens, right? Like, and so it says, boom, boom, boom. It says, boom, boom, boom. It says he is sticking not to spend his life with his not to spend his life with his wife, and remember neither father nor mother nor country. Meaning like he will forget it all for a good woman, right? And it says, but this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to women? So it's talking about how, men dress the way they dress. We buy a certain type of car. We, wear this type of cologne. Like everything we do is to attract a woman, right? So that's what he's saying. Like everything we work for, is to give it to our woman, right? And it says, boom, read it up again. It says, but this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman? Yeah, a man taketh his sword and go his way and rob and steal, right? Like I said, we know people that, or situations where, you would steal for your woman, right? I remember, like me, I'm going to use myself for example. I remember I was a teenager or something like that. Shit, I was broke one time, and shit, I stole my girl's Valentine's gift, right? So, just for, I can get her something. So, we would do stuff like that, right? We would run up into a bank, and tell them give us everything we got, for that woman. You have men like that, right? It says, yeah, a man taketh his sword and goeth his way, and rob and steal, to sail upon the sea and upon rivers. So yeah, you have people that they might, have a job that calls them to go, here and there and travel a lot, and they have to be away from their woman. But, they're doing it to make sure their woman is taken care of, because that job probably pay a certain, a nice amount of money so they can send that money back home. So while they're gone, throughout the year, that woman is taken care of. So it says, to sail upon the sea and upon the rivers, and looketh upon a lion and goeth in the darkness, and when he have stolen spoil and rob, he bring it to his love. So it's saying like, man, like a man will go up and, like I would say, like a man will put himself in a dangerous situation, if it caused him, to be able to take care of his woman, right? Then it says, therefore a man loveth his wife better than father or mother. Yeah, may there be, many be there that have run out of their wits for women. And we know a lot of people done lost their mind over a woman, right? We know people that killed themselves over a woman. But we hear stories of people that killed themselves over a woman, right? So when it says that yeah, many there be that have run out of their wits, meaning they lost their mind. They just went crazy, right? Um, for women and became servants for their sakes. Then you have men with how we say in today's age, some a simp, right? For lack of better terms. You have a man, you have men that be so crazy over their woman, like how it says right here, it says, and they become servants for their sake. They just ready, they serve, um, but not in the sense of like serving like what a man's supposed to do in a relationship with a woman, but like serving meaning he becomes her slave. He does everything she wants him to do, right? Just to keep her happy. And it says, many also have perished and have erred in sin for women. So you have people that would know they're doing something wrong, but for that woman, they'll do it. You know what I'm saying? You have even in the Christian church. I mean, we see these stories all the time, like the pastor sleeping with the deacon's wife, and that's the deacon's wife, and they call but whatever about that woman is so attractive to him, it caused him to commit adultery on his wife just to be with that woman. So when it says that many also have perished and erred and sinned for women, so we see examples of that. We see examples of a man, protecting his woman, or a man trying to pursue a woman, and then it says he perished. It says many also perished. So you have situations where you can just be trying to, like I said, protect your woman from whatever, and you get killed in the process. You're willing to put your life on the line for that woman, right? And it says, and that's how it should be. We're supposed to be able to want to put our life on the line for our women. And it says, and it says, and now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear the touch of him? So he's like, look, the King Darius, you're the powerful nigger, right? You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to mess with you, right? He said, yet did I see him in Memphis, where Apame, whatever how you say the name says, yet did I see him in Apame, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admirable Bartacus, sitting at the right hand of the king, and taking the crown from the king's head. Now that's important, right? Because when you understand how, with the whole monarch system with the kings and stuff, if, the king always supposed to have his crown on, unless he in a bed, you know what I'm saying? When he's handling his affairs, he got to have his crown on. So if you take that crown, that's what, when they used to go to war, that was one of the things that they would take, the crown of the king, to show that they conquered, right, that person, right? So now he's saying that this woman that was sitting next to the king, she kept on taking his crown off, right? So it says, and yet did I see him in Ephraim, the king's concubine, the daughter of the honorable Bartacus, sitting at the right hand of the king, and taking the crown from the king's head and setting it upon her own head. Would you understand how this stuff works when it comes to a king and stuff like that? That's a death penalty. You're supposed to die. You know what I'm saying? You take the king's crown off, you put it on your head, you basically saying, I run all of this. And that was a death sentence, for many years, until the whole monarch system got broken up, right? And it says, then it says, boom, boom, boom. And taking the crown from the king's head and setting it upon her own head, she also struck the king with her left hand. So now she's, how women like to play fight with you. So now she's, hitting the king, right? Smacking the king in the face, right? After she done took his crown. And this is in front of his nobleman, right? So it says, and taking the crown from his king. Okay, then it says, and yet all of this the king gape and gazed upon her with an open mouth. Meaning he was just at all with this woman. You know, he was just so indulgent to her beauty. You know, he didn't care what she did to him, right? Then he was like, if she laughs, if she laughs upon him, he laughed also. But if she took any displeasure at him, the king was faint and flattered, and flattered, then she might be reconciled to him again. So if he, if if he say, she's laughing, then he's gonna laugh, right? To try to, get in good with her. Then it says then if he says something, sometimes you be with a woman, you might, sometimes you might not be always on point. You know what I'm saying? You might say something corny or goofy, then she kind of look at you a little crazy. So what he's saying, like if he says something, then she kind of give him that look. Now he's spending that time to try to get her back in his good graces and get back in her good graces by, making her happy, doing whatever it is to please her, right? And then it says, "O ye men, how can it be but women should be strong, seeing they do this, seeing that they do this?" Then the king and the prince stood upon another, so he begged to speak the truth. So so he's breaking it down like, look, a woman can get away with all this type of stuff. If that man is involved with her, you know what I'm saying, like that man loves her, like that. Like I said, this chapter kind of reminds me of that "When a Man Loves a Woman" song, right? What it say, like, what's that verse that says, like, if she's bad, he can't see it. He will turn his back on his friends if they put her down, right? So this is, like I said, this is that chapter. Like I said, remind me of this that song, right? And it says, "O ye men, are not women strong? Great is the earth, and high is the heaven. Swift is the sun in his course, for he compasseth the heavens around about, and fetches his course again to his own place in one day. Is he not great that maketh things? Therefore great is truth, and stronger than all things. All the earth cried upon the truth, and heaven blessed it. All the works shake and tremble at it, and with it no unrighteous thing." Right. So now it's talking about truth, right? So it says, "Wine is wicked, the king is wicked, women are wicked, all children of men are wicked, and such are all their wicked works, and there is no truth in them. In their unrighteousness also they perish," right? So it says, "As for truth, it endures and is always strong. It liveth and conquer forevermore." So it's saying that, because we got that saying, the truth will set you free. And we got that from the Bible. The truth will set you free, right? Then it says, "With her there is no accepting of persons or reward, but she doeth the thing that are just, and refrain from all unjust and wicked things. And all men do well like her, like of her works," right? So it's saying, like, the truth don't care about your feelings. The truth is going to be the truth. It's not being the truth for, any validation, any type of, it's just being the truth, right? Then it says, "And all men do well like of her works," right? So it's like, if you a person of truth, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna do well, right? And it says, "Neither in her judgment is any unrighteous, and she is the strength of the kingdom, the power and the majesty of all ages. Blessed be God of truth," right? Let me see how much it says. Boom, boom, boom. All right. We ain't gonna read all of that, but so he was getting into he's starting to, after he broke down, because, he gave two-part answer. It was like, he was saying women and truth is the strongest. So he was, after he gave the spiel, then he started breaking down why the truth is the strongest, because the truth comes from God, the Most High God, and, through the truth, we get understanding, right? So it is strong, right? So let's go to our dear sister Judith, right? Another example. Our sister Judith. So, let's go. I'm going to start at Judith 8. Judith chapter 8 and verse 4, right? So, again, this is our dear sister Judith. Now, this is another book that's in the Apocrypha. You're not going to find it in the regular King James. You got to buy you an Apocrypha. You can order one on Amazon or whatever. I think they like $12 or something like that. You can get you an Apocrypha. The Apocrypha is the books that was in between the New and the Old Testament, right? And so, but they took it out. It was set like right here, like how it says New Testament. But before you get to the New Testament, it'll be the Apocrypha right there, right? So, but hold on one second. Select it. No, about 30 or 40. Yes, I like it. But yeah, so yeah, this is the Apocrypha. Sit right in the middle of the Old and New Testament, right? They took it out. We talked about it. Martin Luther, took it out doing the Protestant stuff. They took it out. So basically, too, that's another thing. A lot of people don't even know, like, this is just, without the Apocrypha, this is basically a Protestant Bible. But we have the Apocrypha, right? And we reading it. So we're getting to our dear sister Judith, right? It's read about our sister Judith. I believe she was probably a Judite too. I'm not sure. Somebody can correct me on that. From the tribe of Judah, which will be today who will consider the, so-called African Americans, right? So anywho, let's get into it. So this is Judith, right? So now I'm gonna give you a backstory because we jumping in because like I said, we're not doing this hitting certain verses, right? So so this is Judith. I think this is doing when before we got into the captivity of the Babylonians, right? All the way. I think it's doing that captivity, I believe. So they coming against us, and so so we kind of scared and stuff. We're getting ready to surrender at this point. And our dear sister Judith, she kind of saved us in that moment, right? And our brave sister Judith, and we're gonna see how she did it. The reason why we went through all that other stuff to to demonstrate how our sisters don't have to be out here like Sister Soldier. You know what I'm saying? Their softness, their feminineness, their their ability to woo a man into something, right? Because a lot of our women, they think you gotta demand. What they don't understand is you can get a man to do anything you want him to do. It's all about how you say it, right? And if you say it the right way, that man will do it every time you ask, right? So, and that's where a lot of our women gotta learn, but we grew up in a culture where it's cool for us to, disrespect each other and curse each other out and whatnot, right? So yeah, it says It says, so Judith was a widow in her house for 3 years and 4 months. So basically, her husband died like 3.5 years ago. Basically, boom, boom, boom. Jump down to 7. She was a also a goodly countenance and very beautiful to behold. Meaning she had a good personality and she was beautiful, right? So that's a rare combination. You have a woman with a great personality and she's beautiful. But usually you might find somebody that's have a great personality, but they might not be so easy on the eyes. Or you might have somebody that's beautiful, but they have a horrible personality. But this sister right here, she was also of goodly countenance and very beautiful to behold. And her husband Manasseh had left her gold and silver and servants and maidservants. So when her husband died, he left her a nice little bag to survive off of. He gave her, she had gold, silver, she had maids, and all that stuff, right? Servants, right? Then it says cattle and land. So she had property to go along with the money. And she remained upon them, right? So she, kept it to herself, right? So she didn't remarry. She just kept it all to herself, right? Doing good out here. You know how some of our women, might consider her a boss lady, right? Getting it in. Right? So then it says, we're going to jump down to 11. So there's Judith, chapter 8, verse 11. And they came up to her, and she said unto them, hear me now, O governor of the inhabitants of Bethula, for your words that ye have spoken before the people this day are not right. So what's happening here, like we said earlier, that Israel was getting ready to just surrender at that point, right? And she's like, nah, nigga, we not surrendering. We're gonna fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't going out like that because we got a God that fight for us, right? She understood that, right? So it says, for your words that ye have spoken before the people this day are not right. Touching the oath which ye made and pronouncing between God and you, and have promised to deliver the city to our enemies. Like, dude, like you gonna give up the city to our enemy? Like, nigga, like what it says, it says, before the people this day are not right, touching the oath which ye made and pronounced between God and you, have promised to deliver the city to our enemies. So she's like, look, you over there, swearing that you're gonna, you're gonna get a city away to these people, right? And it says, unless within these days the Lord turn to you in help. So basically, she was saying, like, you trying to, you giving God an ultimatum, saying like, all right, God, if I'm gonna have to surrender the city if you don't come and save us by this time. So she was like kind of checking them on it, like, dude, we can do this, right? We ain't gotta surrender nothing, right? So let's jump down to verse 17. Then it says, therefore let us wait for salvation of him, and call upon him to help us, and he will hear our voice if it please him. Talking about, the Most High God. So she's giving them wisdom and advice on, like, look, and giving them, encouragement, right? Let's jump down to 19. And it says, for which cause our fathers given the sword and spoil and had great fall before our enemies. Then it says, but we know none other God, therefore we trust that he will not despise us, nor any of our nations. So she's like, look, we trust in God, and God is going to get us, help us, against our enemies. And it says, for if we be taken so all Judea shall lie waste, and our sanctuary shall be spoiled, and if he will require the profanation thereof at our mouth. Right? So she like, look, if we don't stand on business right now, God is gonna judge us. Like, like he gonna judge us like he did our ancestors before. That's what she's telling them. So then it says, in the slaughter of our brethren and the captivity of the country and the desolation of our inheritance will he turn upon our heads among the Gentiles, wheresoever we shall be in bondage, and we shall be a offense and a reproach to all that passes us, right? So she like, look, we're gonna be an embarrassment amongst these people. They're gonna look at us as a joke. So this is our sister, our woman, talking to one of the rulers of Israel to tell him like, dude, like, get your stuff together, man. We ain't giving up, right? We got a God on our side, and we're gonna beat these Babylonian niggas, right? So she hyping them up, right? And so it says, for our servitude shall not be directed to favor, but the Lord our God shall turn it into dishonor. So she like letting them know, like, dude, like, if we don't stand on business right now, like I said, God is gonna God is gonna cause the other nations to just trample all over us. We're gonna be a doormat for all nations, right? So she's letting them know, like, dude, we cannot just give up, Jerusalem like that, dude. We gotta fight. So let's get boom 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 boom. Let's get verse 35. So now she broke it down to him. Then she says, so now the dude that she's talking to then said, Ozias and the prince unto her, go in peace, and the Lord be before thee to take vengeance on our enemies. Right? So what was happening here was she was telling them that she gonna go and handle the business, right? Then it says let me see, boom boom boom. So yeah, let's jump to let's go to chapter 10, right? So chapter 10 verse 3. So like I said, so now she's on her mission, about to get herself prepared to go handle this, getting her G.I. Jane stuff, right? So it says and she rose. This is Judah chapter 10. We'll start at verse 2. No, let's start at verse 1. And it says, after that she had ceased to cry unto God of Israel, and had made an end of all of these words. So, the part that we skipped through was her praying to God and asking him to give her a favor, and for she can carry out this task that she's about to go do. Right? So it says, so she arose where she had fallen down, and called her maid, and went down unto the house in which she abode in the Sabbath day, in her feast day, and pulled off the sackcloth which she had on, and put off the garment of her widowhood, and washed her body all over with water, and anointed herself with precious ointment, and braided the hair of her head, and put on a attire upon it. So she got did up. She put on her, as Chris Rock said, her fuck'em dress, right? She got did up. She got nice. You know what I'm saying? She got fly, right? And because she's, like we read earlier, she's a beautiful woman, and she has a great personality, right? Then it says, and braided the hair on her head, and put on a attire upon it, and put on her garment of gladness, wherewith she was chad during the life of Manasseh, her husband. Because her husband passed away, right? And it says, she took sandals upon her feet, and put about her bracelets and her chains and her rings and her earrings and all her ointments and deck herself bravely to allure the eyes of all men that should see her, right? So she got fly. She knew when she put on her dress, get her little jewels all right, did her makeup cool. She knew all the nigga was gonna be all on her. She knew that. She knew that she was gonna be able to catch her attention, of and be able to do her thing, right? She understood that, but she's using deceit and guile and her femininity to do what she's trying to do, right? So let's jump down to 13. And it says, and I'm coming from Holofernes, the chief captain of your army. So now she's going to meet the captain of the army that's trying to come against her people. So she went to their camp where they were, laying at, and so she went there, right? And it says, I am come from before Holofernes, the chief captain of your army, to declare words of truth, and I will show him a way whereby he shall go and win all the hill country without losing a body or life of anyone of his men. So she like, look, I came here, like I defected from Judea. I came here to tell you how you can win this battle without losing a man, right? I got a strategy for you, right? Then it says, and now when the men heard her words and beheld her countenance, they wondered greatly at her beauty and said unto her. So like I said, so they see that she got a great personality. She know how to talk. She's talking nice. She not, coming off all, masculine and all that stuff, like how a lot of our women like to be when they, in certain situations. She come with a humble spirit, right? And it says, and when the men heard her words and beheld her countenance and wondered at her beauty, and they said unto her, Thou hast saved thy life, and thou hast to come down to the presence of our Lord. Now before come to his tent, and some of us shall conduct thee until they have delivered thee into his hands. So he's like, look, we're gonna take you to meet our captain. We're going to protect you, we're going to make sure you're taken care of until when this whole thing is over with, this whole war, this whole battle, we're going to take care of you, the whole time, right? That's what they're telling them. But that's what, I'll be, right? We, especially us niggas, right? You be outside and it might be a new female come on the block or whatever she, look, she's pretty or whatever, how the case may be. Or a new female might come into the circumference, the circle, then you have niggas like this, offering her drinks, basically trying to make sure she's straight, make sure that, she having a good time, make sure she's, everything is all, copacetic with her, right? So that's what they're, basically doing. So it says, and when thou hast stand before him, be not afraid in thy heart, but show unto him according to thy words, he will entreat of thee well. So it's like, look, just tell the captain the same thing you told us. And they close out of them and 100 men to accompany her. So this lets you know that the type of beauty this woman had, like, and how gorgeous she was. It wasn't just a few people making sure she got what she got. They put together 100-man team to make sure this woman was taken care of, right? So, it says, chose out of them 100 men to accompany her and her maid, and they brought her into the tent of Holofernes. And when there was a concourse throughout all the camp for her coming, was noise among the tents, and they came about her, and as she stood with the tents of Holofernes, they till they all told him of her, right? So basically, what's going on here? You know how it'd be like, especially if you in high school or whatever, a new girl come to school and she, she bad, she a nice little, everybody know about this new baddie that showed up to the school, right? The whole school knows about it. Everybody's talking about this new girl that's at the school, right? So that's what's going on within the camp. This beautiful black woman came amongst them, and they lost their mind. They have to go tell everybody, right? So, so it says, and they wondered at her beauty and admired the children of Israel. So this is how beautiful she was. She was so beautiful. They started looking at the people of Israel with admiration. They started looking at our people like, wow, these people, wow. Then it says, because of her, everyone said to his neighbor, who should despise people that have among them such women? Think about it. We have the most beautiful women ever. The black, brown women that we have, the black, Hispanic, Native American women we have amongst our people are the most beautiful women on the world. Ain't no type of woman can outdo. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Give me a black woman, Hispanic, Native American woman, an Israelite woman. It's the most beautiful thing ever, right, on the planet, right? And the other nations knew that, and they started looking like, well, shoot, these Israelite niggas, man, they got some bad women over there. We almost don't even want to fight them. That's how they started looking at it, like, man, why we got to go fight them? Because there's a lot of beautiful women over there. That's what they thinking, right? Because we do. You know what I'm saying? You look at the spectrum of our women. We have 12 tribes, right? And you look at, like I said, go look down, you go to South America. You're going to lose your mind, you know what I'm saying, with all the beauty that's down there, right? You know what I'm saying? Where do you think the whole BBL phenomenon came from? Because the women in Brazil have big-ass bubbles on their back, all right? Our Brazilian women, our Asherite women, our Natalia women down there are gorgeous. Then you have our Issachar women down there. Like, for a long time, Eva Mendes, right, the actor, beautiful, played in All About the Benjamins and other stuff, right? Beautiful women we have, right? Jennifer Lopez, you know what I'm saying? She's a sister from the tribe of Ephraim, beautiful women. Like I said, we can go down the line, Kelly Rowland, you know what I'm saying? All these different beautiful women we have. Like, we have the most beautiful women. Dang. Like, I don't see why would anybody would want anything other than an Israelite woman, right? But anywho, I digress. But, man, it's something. But, so, it says, and they wonder at her beauty and admire the children of Israel because of her, and everyone said to his neighbor, who should despise this people that have among them such women? Surely is it not good that one man of them should be left, who being let go deceive the whole world, deceive the whole earth. So basically they saying like, look, hey, if we do go, when we do fight these niggas, we gonna kill all the men so we can take the women for ourselves. That's what they're thinking. Because just off of our sister Judith, they like, man, if one of these women look like that, we can imagine how all they women look. So they was willing to kill us all, just to get our women. And that was, they had a different motivation other than just trying to just regular conquest. They like, well, shit, look at the women, right? So it's, so it says, and so they. It says, and so they laid near Eliphaz and went out, and his servants and they brought her into the tent, and Eliphaz rested upon his bed under a canopy, which was woven with purple and gold and emeralds and precious stones. So they showed him of her, and he came out before his tent with silver lamps going before him, when Judah was come before him and his servants, they all marveled at her beauty of her countenance, and she fell down upon her face and did reverence unto him, and the servants took her up. So they finally let her meet the captain, come out and meet her. So now she, of course, because she got all dialed up and beautified herself so she can be able to, come amongst their camp, and she knew that, the man was gonna, just start, gawking at her, right? So she knew that, how the favor that they were showing her, right? But when she met the captain, she was still that same, same humble sister, right? She bowed down, showed her respect to him, right? And she played her part until she was able to accomplish her mission, right? So let's see what that was. Let's jump all the way to chapter 13, right? So, and it says, and now when it started at verse 1, chapter 13, Judith, chapter 13, verse 1. And now when the even was gone, his servant made haste to depart, and Bungalow shut up his tents without, and dismissed the waiter from the presence of his lord, and they went to their beds, for they were all weary because of the feast and had been long. So now what's going on here, right? Because we skipped 3 chapters, right? 2 chapters. So the whole time that she's around them, they've been trying, they was trying to get her drunk, you know what I'm saying? They was offering her liquor and stuff, but she wasn't drinking, but they was getting drunk, so, and how it be sometimes. You probably be, or, like, I know y'all probably seen situations where, you probably have some women around, but then the men is getting more drunker than the women and all that stuff, and cause you might have some women that, it might be someone there that doesn't drink or whatever, right? So she wasn't drinking with them. So the soldiers and the captain, Eliphaz, they're getting busted every night. They kicking it with her, right? Because like I said, we skipped a few chapters. She was there